Welcome to the Joy School Podcast. Real talk about what it takes to create your happiest, healthiest, and most dynamic life. And now, here's your host, transformational life coach, happiness strategist, and best-selling author, Kristi Ling Spencer.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Joy School Podcast. Thank you so much for being with me again. I'm excited for this week's topic because it is a simple thing that has such great power over our lives. And that is our expectations. And oh my gosh, I can think of so many stories in my life where I expected one thing and got another. A real simple example is, have you ever taken a sip of a beverage expecting one thing, like you're expecting water and you pick up the glass and take a sip and it's vodka or something completely different and your brain is like, what just happened? So in life, our expectations of things, we can set ourselves up for similar experiences like that with situations, with what we're expecting out of other people or from ourselves, or what we're expecting to find when we're looking for something online or whatever it may be. And learning the power of expectations is such an amazing tool to have in our happiness and best life toolbox. And this is one of my favorite topics. And I'm actually going to share with you a little excerpt from my book, Operation Happiness today. And this is also on the audiobook. And it's really about this topic and it says everything I would want to say. So I was like, I'm just going to do a little reading, which is something a little bit different. So we're going to have that. But before I dive into that, I just wanted to share, I think we can all relate that sometimes we set ourselves up with expectations, and then we end up with this massive amount of disappointment when things don't meet those expectations. But have you ever had those moments where you're in that place of disappointment and you realize, I really shouldn't have expected that much in the first place? And we kind of can take a step back and see that, we were over expecting, right? Now, however, there is a line to walk here because I do believe, and this will, I'll talk about this a bit when I do the reading, but I do believe that when we expect amazing things, that we generally get amazing things. So it's really about walking that line because we also all know people who pretty consistently expect negativity and negative things, and they expect the worst outcomes like, oh yeah, no, that's not going to turn out well, or, whatever it is, or, oh, the chances of me achieving that are really slim. And they're setting themselves up with not only negative expectations that are probably going to be matched, but also negative energy around whatever the thing is. So when you are mindful about your expectations and really not setting unrealistic ones, but looking to expect the best outcome, right? The highest and best outcome from most everything will bring that energy into whatever the thing is. And I truly believe increase the chances of the wonderful positive outcome occurring. So we actually have, ways to influence how things turn out by managing our expectations around them a lot of the time. Now, of course, not 100% of the time, but a lot of the time. And, sometimes we want to manage our expectations by not keeping them too high. We think something's going to be so great, but we're not super sure. And it's like, okay, let's keep this in check. And when we do that, sometimes when it does turn out to be absolutely amazing, it's even that much more exciting because it exceeded our expectations, right? And that's one of my favorite things in life, when something absolutely exceeds my already positive expectations. Isn't that a magical thing? So with that, I want to dive into this little reading. If you have the paper copy of the book, this is from page 231. And if you're listening to the audiobook, this is toward the last part where there is the 30 days of positive reading. And it's a bunch of positive essays and blog posts that we pulled together with my editors. And this one is day 25, and it's Expect Amazing Things, How Expectations Shape Your Days. Much of the way we experience our day comes from what we expect of it. Expect amazing things today, and it will be. Expect a bad day, and that's pretty much what you'll get. It's pretty simple. A while back, I took a day off to go stand-up paddleboarding in Malibu. It was totally delicious. The water was gorgeous, the sun was shining, and a pod of dolphins swam by. I'd look forward to this for days. I can tell you this for sure. The one thing that helped make it so great was that I expected it to be. In the days leading up to going, I was making statements and affirmations, really, like, I'm going paddleboarding on Thursday. It's going to be amazing. I grew up with a major fear of the ocean. I wouldn't even go in past my knees. For a Southern California girl, you can imagine this might have been a bit of an issue. Years ago, I finally set my mind to overcoming the fear. And now I'm passionate about water sports. I snorkel, I free dive, I surf, I swim. Anywhere or near the ocean is a very happy place for me. But to be honest, there is still a little sneaky voice inside of me that will creep in now and then and stir up anxiety when I'm faced with going into the open ocean far from the shore. Before my day of paddleboarding in Malibu, that annoying little voice was tempting me to make statements like, I'm nervous about this, that I might fall in, or going that far from the shore can be scary. I guarantee that if I were in this mindset prior to hitting the water, it would have been a drastically different experience. But I chose to ignore those negative limiting thoughts and expectations and instead chose to expect a fantastic experience. And it was. Changing your outlook and expectations can literally change what you experience. Our expectations for the day usually begin in the morning. When you wake up, be conscious about the statements you're making and the thoughts you're choosing about the day ahead. If you're thinking that marketing meeting this afternoon is going to suck big time, you're not only setting yourself up for a negative experience, you're also putting out low vibrations that affect other aspects of your life too. Changing your outlook and expectations can literally change what you experience. And aligning your expectations with your positive intentions gives you that much more momentum. This isn't to say that everything will always turn out the way we expect it to. That would be boring, actually. It's also not to say having powerful positive expectations will never lead to disappointment. That happens sometimes, and there are always lessons to be received there if you look. This is just to say our expectations play a huge role in shaping the way we live, the richness, the light, the growth, and the joy. So when it comes to creating a fantastic life, be sure to add setting high quality positive expectations into your happiness toolbox. It's a powerful thing to expect awesomeness, to expect fantastic experiences, expect an amazing, delicious, joyful life, and it will be. Isn't that a great little essay? That is actually one of my favorites. It's such a good little reminder about our thoughts and our expectations and how the energy and the thoughts that we choose and the way we choose to perceive things and the way we choose to expect things can truly affect our lives. It is so powerful, and it really is a great little habit to start practicing. So, what are a couple of the ways that I've learned to do this? Because we're all different, right? And different things and different habits might be different for everybody when it comes to what works. So, a couple of things that worked for me in creating this shift in my life is the areas that we tend to really create a frenzy in our minds of expectations around are the big things, right? Maybe somebody new that you just started dating, or maybe a class that you're going to take, or maybe an event that you're going to, or a new job that you're starting, whatever it may be. That's when we really sometimes need to check ourselves. So for me, learning to recognize when my brain was creating a little bit of an expectation frenzy, to take a step back and really be intentional about it and say, okay, with this new opportunity or new person that I'm going to be meeting, or, new project I want to do, whatever it is, how about I mindfully set expectations? And sometimes I'll even journal about it, right? Or create a bullet pointed list of outcomes that I would love to see from that situation, whatever it may be. For me, I love journaling and creating bullet pointed lists. It really helps me get focused. And the studies do show that when you write things down, it really gives them power and helps your brain remember what it is you want to be focused on. So that is something that's really worked for me, is just recognizing when that little expectation frenzy is happening and then learning to check myself and just be like, okay, chill out, Kristi. you're putting way too much onto this person, which isn't fair, or you're putting way too much onto this situation, or you're being negative about this. And maybe you need to make a shift and create more positive expectations because our expectations do and can impact outcomes. And so just learning to recognize that, right? And the other area where I really, really step things up, and I mentioned this in the little essay, is part of my morning practice is really consciously thinking about with intention, what are my expectations for this day? What are my expectations for the things that are on my to-do list today? What outcomes would I like to see happen? And really focusing on that each morning has been super helpful to me. And really, it kind of goes along with setting intentions. In a way, intentions go hand in hand with outcomes, right? And so maybe linking those two habits, stacking those two habits together, many of us already set intentions. And maybe after you set your intention, think about setting what outcome would I like from this? Or what expectation would I like to have of this? And there is such a thing as, of course, disappointment or a little bit of ick after things when things occur in your life that really let you down or did not at all meet your expectations. And those can be opportunities to learn. Those can be opportunities to change course. They can also be opportunities to get to know ourselves a little bit better. Sometimes we expect one thing and get another, and the other thing that landed in front of us is actually exactly what we needed. It's kind of like the Rolling Stones song. You can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you get what you need. And so sometimes really learning to recognize that and spot those. Sometimes letdowns can actually be opportunities, right? Or they can be a chance to reevaluate and kind of change expectations a little bit for the next time that you try that thing again, or the next time you're going to experience that thing again, right? All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. It's a bit of a short show, but sometimes short is sweet. So if I can recommend a podcast to you, if you enjoy this podcast, you might also enjoy Jim Quick's podcast, which is called Quick Brain. And his are all short and sweet. And it's really all about brain health and ways, brain hacks and ways that you can make your brain your BFF. And as most of you know who have been following me for a while, you know that's one of my favorite topics. So that's a podcast I do enjoy. Shout out to Jim Quick. And so today's is a short and sweet episode. And that brings me, I did not forget, my friends, to the part of the show called Joy School Habits, where I share a small habit that can actually have big impact. And today's Joy School habit that I would love for you to try adopting is simply to smile more. Now, this sounds very simple, right? But studies show that smiling is actually a natural antidepressant. When you smile, your brain releases dopamine and endorphins and serotonin. And these neurotransmitters are actually linked to lowering anxiety, lowering stress, and leveling up feelings of happiness and joy and inner peace, just simply from the physical act of smiling. Now, the other thing that goes along with this is that when you smile, your entire energy changes. In fact, they say that when you smile, when you're talking to someone on the phone, the person on the other end can actually detect that you're smiling. They actually pick up on that energy. And so it's a great habit to be in when you're on phone conversations, like business conference calls on the phone. Smiling can actually help bring more positive energy and help you even seem a little more credible, right? Because people who are engaging come across as you want to listen to what they have to say. And smiling is part of that. It's also a great tool when you're meeting new people, when you're networking, when you're first walking into a room. When you walk into a room, smile, look around and smile at people. You will naturally attract the type of people who want to be around positive energy and great energy and who spot you and think that's a person I want to know. So just being mindful about smiling a little bit more. This is also effective on Zoom calls. Now, of course, you don't want to just sit there and smile the whole time, like just endlessly smile, especially if there's a subject that isn't really something to smile about. But throwing in an extra smile here and there and a little enthusiasm along with a smile when you're speaking can make such a difference in the way people perceive you. And at the same time, like I mentioned, it triggers your brain to go, oh, we're happy right now. We're smiling. Time to release those feel-good endorphins. Time to feel great. And another tip is that smiling, even when you feel down, even when you don't feel like it, if you hold your physical smile for about 30 seconds or so, your brain doesn't know the difference between something great just happened or all you're doing is just physically smiling. Your brain will still respond by releasing those great neurotransmitters that will lift you up and make you feel better. So this is a great tool when you're just kind of feeling blah. Just go smile at yourself in the mirror for 30 seconds, or just smile at your dog, or whatever it is. Smile at a picture on the wall. Hold it for 30 seconds and take in a few deep breaths to get some oxygen to your brain and see how you feel. So that's today's Joy School habit. Just smile a little bit more, incorporate more smiling into your life. I promise you it will make a difference. It's a small habit that can have some big payoff. All right, my friends, if you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you would leave a review over on Apple Podcasts or your favorite platform. This makes such a difference for the show and helping people find it who might also enjoy it. It's a great way to support the show. And also, remember, you have the power to create more amazing days, and more amazing days add up to a pretty amazing life. Go out and create a beautiful week, my friends, and I will be back with you soon. Have a good one.